It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to the full shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
I'm Sherlock Holmes. Not really. I'm Wayne Miller. Pretending to be Sherlock Holmes was kind of brings up the whole movie today.
Well, yeah. First of all, we're in real time here. It's movie time.
It's movie time.
Now you're going to take us back
in time.
Okay.
For Holmes and Watson.
All right.
And since I think I could probably pretend to be Sherlock Holmes just as well as Will Ferrell.
All right. So this new comedy starring Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly.
Yes.
Is who knows what it's about. It's a whole bunch of set pieces, right?
Set pieces, some hit, some definitely miss. It's a comedy. And a slapsticky comedy at
yes,
that,
it is.
too.
It
yes.
is. And, you know, I guess that's a telling point, isn't it? That one of the weaknesses that critics find in it is it doesn't really have any discernible plot.
But it does have a theme, and that is sometimes it's okay to show your emotions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it starts out as, Holmes is a kid and he's bullied and everything, and they make fun of him, and he started to cry, and he says, "No, I'm not going to cry anymore." And this was one of the things, too. There were some set pieces that went on too long. And the one, he's a little boy, and the tears going down his face. And he's struggling to almost retract that tear.
Yes.
So he's not going to show emotion and let himself be vulnerable anymore.
But that opening piece, I thought, had its own ingenuity, where the kid gets back at them using his brain.
Yes!
Back at all the bullies.
Yes, and one by one he says that little criminal acts that they've done there at the boarding school, I'm going to get you expelled. And you see the very stern schoolmaster expelling one kid after the other, and then he's by himself in the little playground, and then later on in class as he challenges his teachers.
Well, one of the important parts of this is how they interact with Queen Victoria.
Yes. Who I thought the actress that played Queen Victoria was very good. She did a good job.
Homely as can be.
Yes.
Looking like the Queen. And one of the things that cracked me up. Now, again, I'm the only person listening to this show who liked this movie and who laughed at this movie. But I'll tell you, one of the things I laughed at was as Riley expresses his love for the Queen.
Yes.
And I think he does this very definitely. Yeah. When she leaves, they both remark about how beautiful she is. And only the way that these little boy men
do. But it's really kind of telling about the reverence that the common British public have for their royalty, and even but what's funny that early photographs and paintings of the real Queen Victoria and how she's portrayed on a series on PBS, that very attractive young woman.
Okay.
And falls madly in love with a guy on an arranged marriage, Prince Albert.
Yes.
And of course had a number of children.
Okay. All right. And another thing that worked for me was the interaction between John C. Reilly and Rebecca Hall.
Yes.
Playing the doctor.
Yes, the American doctor.
The American doctor. Yeah.
And of course, as you had put it in your review, there's no such thing as a woman doctor. Here's a real doctor, Dr. John Watson and everything. But the best part of the movie for me was Millicent, her assistant, the American female doctor's assistant, Millicent.
Yes.
Who, up until the end, was basically mute. And of course, they made it seem that they said that she had been orphaned and raised by feral cats. And some of the best set pieces and comedy bits of the whole movie are Millicent. Like a very quick shot of her, and she's grooming herself like a cat. Or the American doctor is playing with a toy with her, and she's batting it around. But they're very good bits with her. And I think. This is the one thing I latched hold in the movie. Some of the fleeting comic bits work much better than some of the set pieces
Well, correct.
that they went that went on too long.
Well, you're right, and I threatened to go back to listen for some of
Yes,
those. You're exactly
yes,
right. They
yes.
didn't necessarily have to do anything with the major parts of the plot. They simply were toss-off lines that were kind of funny.
Yes, very funny. Or newspaper articles.
Yes, you told me about
yes,
that
the
one that you saw.
Yeah, that you had to look quickly though to catch some of these things,
So the headlines.
or comic bits in the background, particularly when it was Millicent. Either playing around with something or chasing people in the park. Did a very good job with that.
And the film is contemporary in ways that purists detest. The anachronisms, they just don't like it. And I'll think one that I'll expose here because we're about telling on It's Movie Time.
Yeah.
When they pull out one of the caps that Holmes is trying. It says "Make Britain Great Again."
Yes, like a fez, with a red fez, right? Make Britain Great Again. And that was an interesting set piece, as you see him in different hat wear, throughout the movie. But the other thing that I think we both picked up on that was interesting, and that is some of the 1880s, 1890s comedy type of bits in the movie that were parodies of what's going on now. Like when he's sending a telegraph and he's drunk. And so what was it? But anyhow,
taking their photograph, the selfie.
Yes, the selfie with the huge box camera.
You see, right after that, which is kind of ingenious, as they want to move to get better light.
Yes.
The camera bangs Victoria, and she falls down. And it is so stupid. I'm laughing.
Yes, and it was funny. There were good, or the boxing match, and people were going to pay to watch. He says, "Well, that's an interesting concept. People pay to see a box." Of course, the pay-per-view type of thing, or the one bit about the House of Pancakes. Stacking the pancakes on each other.
Yes.
But bits like that were amusing, and there were a number of them.
So what really went wrong? It has a very low rating, one of the historically lowest ratings on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes, you were telling me.
Yeah. So why do you think?
I think, and you know that I've gone to a number of Sherlock Holmes conventions.
Right.
And in Dayton, they used to have one each year. And people would dress up, and it was, and they'd have scholarly discussions, and people would present papers about Sherlock Holmes. There's purists out there that they don't mind the humor in certain things dealing with Sherlock Holmes, like, and of course now with certain things. I'm surprised they haven't come out with a third Sherlock Holmes movie with Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
And but Benedict Cumberbatch's and a very excellent Watson played by Martin Freeman on a BBC, and we get it here on PBS, Sherlock, or also which it updates Holmes, and the same thing with the Johnny Lee Miller as Holmes and Lucy Liu as an Asian female Joan Watson,
right?
And that's on CBS. And us also not only updated to the present, but locates them in New York City. But people like their homes. There is no doubt about it. And sometimes I was worried, and my fear was kind of spot on. I was afraid it was going to be Will Ferrell doing Elf. Elf is Sherlock Holmes. And
or Will Ferrell doing Ron Burgundy.
Yes, even better analogy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
there have been some satires
yes,
in movies of
yes,
Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, The Private Lives of Sherlock Holmes, directed by Billy Wilder.
Yeah.
And that was humorous, but also had a good storyline to it.
Yeah. So there have been. Yeah. So there have been attempts.
Yes.
And they haven't been unsuccessful.
No. That one was fairly successful, and some of the better Holmes did have some humor in there,
Right.
particularly dealing with the relationship with Holmes and Watson. But and of course, what my all-time favorite Holmes is Basil Rathbone. My all-time worst Watson is Nigel Bruce. He played him as a buffoon.
Right.
And here at least John C. Reilly gets it. It's kind of very good as a Watson.
Well, and
That's a rock solid type of person.
as a matter of fact, he plays him to the extent that Holmes looks even goofier than ever because Watson would appear to be the force behind in this movie.
Yes.
Almost as if
Yes.
he's the one.
Yes.
And I would imagine your purist would not like that at all.
No, no. And for people who really want to see that has some humorous bits but a very good storyline, and one of a couple of movies that Sherlock Holmes takes on, Jack the Ripper, and Holmes played by Christopher Plummer, and James Mason as Watson. The movie is Murder by Decree, and that had some humorous bits, but it had a very good storyline to it. And this one, it was kind of like you kind of lost anarchists or whatever that Moriarty, and it's Moriarty's
And
underused Ray.
Ray Fiennes is lost in this.
I was looking forward to that. I'm thinking, wow, because of his ultimate villain in the Harry Potter movies, and the name that shall not be spoken. And I thought, ooh, if he could bring some of that to this, but he was very.
I wonder if he was left. I wonder if he was left on the editing floor. I can't believe that they enjoyed him and then gave him so little to do.
Little to do.
Yeah.
But a very humorous Mrs. Hudson.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
played by Kelly MacDonald, an excellent.
If this year came out in Puzzle in a completely different
Yes.
role.
Yes, and she did a good
Yeah,
job.
and some would think that she overplays the Mrs. Hudson on this. And
Yeah.
you know, and that's another one of those parts of the film where you could go ahead and say, oh yeah, you know, how about directing it? This was directed by Ethan Cohen,
Yes.
not Ethan Cohen.
But
Ethan, right.
Which would probably make people think, oh, it's a Coen Brothers. It'd be interesting. I'll have to have a three-pipe problem here and think about if the Coen Brothers had done a movie like this.
You got it. Yeah. But anyway, we're stuck with it.
Yes.
And Wayne Miller, the film is Holmes and Watson.
Yes.
What grade would you award it?
Well, I'm going to deduce what grade you gave it by the bee sting on your hand that you've been tending your bees in Sussex County again. Therefore, DeSando,
Yes,
I think you awarded it a B.
I did.
And I know you did. Oh, well, I read
All right,
the
yeah.
review. And
So,
I gave it a C.
oh yeah,
I'll
okay.
give it a C plus because I've enjoyed talking about it,
All right.
discussing it with you.
And I guess we can look forward to Stan and Laurel
Yes, with John C. Reilly.
with John C. Reilly again
Yes.
playing a little bit of the schlubby partner.
Yep. Oliver Hardy.
All right.
Yep.
And
Okay.
you can be sure to come back in the next Sherlock Holmes.
Well, I think so too. And oh, jeez, who's this little guy?